Hi everyone, and welcome to Yoga by Nature podcast. This will be the last offering of 2020. I'll be signing off now for Christmas and New Year, and I'll be back in 2021. And this is an offering intended to honour the solstice, which is today as I'm speaking, and it's the shortest day of the year, and it's a time where we can all really benefit from getting really quiet and resting and doing some inner reflection. So this is a restorative practice. It's really mellow, and we start off with some really slow flow to prepare the body, and then we move into some really quiet, deeply restful poses, and we finish with a Yoga Nidra. And so I really hope you enjoy it and you do find it restful, and I wish you a really happy solstice and festive period and Christmas and a happy and healthy 2021. And as always, if you would like to contact me with any feedback or suggestions, you can contact me on info@yogabynature.org. And if you would like to find more about classes, online classes, workshops, retreats, then you can check me out at www.yogabynature.org. So this goes out from me to you with lots of love. Namaste. So if you take a meditation seat, and we're going to start with some just centering and pranayama. So be comfortable, and you could be sitting in a chair, or if you're feeling tired this evening and you do need to have a more restful practice, you need to come and sit with your back to the wall and use the wall as a prop. You might want to have a cushion underneath you just for comfort and ease of the spine. Just have the hands resting somewhere on the thighs, or you might have the hands folded in the lap. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears, noticing if you're holding any of your resistance in the shoulders this evening. And just see if they'll soften a little bit, just as you become aware of any tightness. It might want to release as you bring your awareness to it. Soften the skin of the back, the crown of the head. If you're comfortable to close your eyes, then just gently close your eyes and take your awareness inside. Become aware of the face, the muscles of the face. Letting the cheeks relax, so the flesh of the cheeks hangs from the cheekbones. Soften the brow, smooth the brow. Mentally massage the temples. Just imagine 2 fingers at the temples, just making gentle circles. Let the eyes sit back a little bit deeper into the skull. And allow your tongue to rest down onto the floor of your mouth, making a little bit more space in the throat and also in the brain. And now make the body a little bit broader, starting with the collarbones, broaden across the collarbones. So there's a sense of opening and brightening across the chest. And now broaden your back. And that there might not be a physical movement that accompanies this, but there might be a change in the tone of your posture. And relax the abdomen as much as you can. whilst holding yourself upright. You do need some tone in the abdomen and in the back muscles. And begin to welcome in your breath. So presencing yourself in the body, the sensation, or the dynamic movement of the body, and also in the sensation of the breath. Just checking in with yourself. What's here today? What's here? What mood is here? What's your energy level like right now? What stories are here? How are you settling into your practice this evening? Let's do some very gentle pranayama practice. So we'll begin with Nadi Shodhana practice this evening, making a fist with the right hand and then releasing the thumb, the pinky finger and the ring finger. And then we'll take an inhale. And we'll close the right nostril with the thumb and then exhale through the left nostril. Very gentle breath. And then inhale through the left nostril, just following that gentle flow of the breath with the awareness. And then exhale through the right nostril. Inhaling soundless breath. And then exhaling left side, keeping the tongue resting down on the floor of the mouth to open the throat. Allow the breath to flow. Inhale left. And now continue at your own pace. So you're switching nostrils after the inhale. So getting into your own rhythm. Notice any tendency to hold on to any part of the breath cycle. Can you get out of the way of the breath and let it move? Let's do one more full round, ending with an exhale through the left nostril. And then the next time you exhale through the left nostril, release the right hand, resting it onto the knee. And just take a pause here to be with the breath. In yoga practice, it's a journey towards here. It's a journey towards making nothing happen and waiting for nothing to happen. So just noticing any tendency of waiting for something to happen. And just see if just for this one breath, you can just be here with this breath. There's no next. There's no on to the next thing. So let's begin to move And we're going to start moving very slowly, gently around in a circle. If your knees or hips need to change of position here, you can always recross the legs so that the other shin sits in front. Or take another seated position. And just enjoy the movement. And if the body wants to go a little bit deeper, or do some bigger movements, then follow that. Just moving for the sake of moving. There are lots of benefits to this pose. But it's also beneficial just to move for the sake of moving, for the joy of moving. And then beginning to circle the other way, again moving to the tune of your own breath. And then coming back to center. Let's come to all fours, placing the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And we're going to circle the shoulders here, a little shoulder releasing work. So that we'll draw the shoulder blades back and then down the back, and then press the hands into the ground to lift in between the shoulder blades, and then lift them up again. So they're just on a big circle round. So we'll keep circling, releasing tension around the upper back. And then coming back to a neutral spine, we'll circle around, so starting to stir the pot now, circling the shoulders above the wrists, the hips above the knees. Keep tuning back into your breath. So the breath is the anchor for your practice. It's a sanctuary that you can just keep returning to, where you'll always find presence. Let's change direction. It's a way back into center. And then coming back to center, we'll sit back on the heels or sit down another way if this pose doesn't suit you. Interlace the fingers, press the palms forward. And then gently reach the arms up. And just go nice and slowly so you can feel the point where you meet resistance. It might come before you realise if you're used to going into this fast. And then when you meet that resistance, bend the elbows, roll the shoulders back, and then very gently work into that resistance by bending and straightening the elbows. So you're gently working through any knots and tight spots. If you go straight up to the hard edge here, then you tend to miss a lot on the way. A lot of the tension, the resistance goes unattended to. Sorry, I'll just show you what I'm doing here. I just started doing something else. So I'm in Hastasana with the palms up and just circling one shoulder and then the other shoulder. I just started doing that because it felt really good. So I thought you might like it too. And then releasing the arms. So we're going to go into a bit of a flow before moving into a more static restorative sequence. So we're going to go from all fours into cat pose, rounding the spine, and then into cow pose, lifting the chest, and then all the way back to child's pose. Bring the hips all the way down if you can, and then slide forward, slither forward, and then come up to baby cobra. That's the sequence. And then back into cat pose, walking my hands back a little bit here. Exhale, inhaling into cow. Exhaling back into child's pose, or your variation. And then inhale, slithering forward, cobra. Exhaling to cow. Inhale. Oh, sorry, this is cow. And then exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, cat. Let's go around once more, moving with the breath. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, cobra. And then exhaling all the way back into child's pose. Have the arms reaching up to the top of the mat. Sink the belly in between the thighs. Just rock the pelvis from side to side a few times, the sitting bones sliding one way and the other way. And then coming back to center. Taking a few breaths. And I'm going to walk the hands over to the left. Both hands walk over to the left. And then rest the forehead onto the ground. So you're in a side bend and the head will be in between the arms. And then roll the right hip back. So the right hip is drawing back away from the right rib cage, so the right side of the waist is lengthening. Relax the right shoulder blade down, so the right shoulder blade gets heavy. And we've got a little twist to do here. So we're going to bring the right hand to rest on top of the left hand. Lift the right armpit and look underneath the right armpit. And then lower the right shoulder. Walk the hands over to the right. The head is in between the arms. And then just enjoy your side bend. Become aware of the left side and the right sides of the body. Which side feels brighter and fuller? Which side feels darker? Can you feel the flow of prana, life energy, more in the left side or the right side? Place the left hand on top of the right hand. And then lift the left shoulder and turn to look underneath the left armpits. Breathe into the belly. And then we'll walk the hands back to center.
And just rest here in a variation of child's pose that's good for you. If this is feeling like you've done enough now, if there's some deep flexion of the knees, then you can take child's pose lying on your side with the head resting on the arm and the arm reaching out in front. Just bringing the breath into the back. And beginning to follow the exhales, making the exhales a little longer. Just take 5 conscious breaths here, counting down the breath from 5. And then slowly rise. We're going to try a different twist today from ones we've done previously. So this one is a supine twist with the hips slightly elevated. So I've got 2 blankets here. You might want to use a cushion if you don't have 2 blankets, or you could use a bolster. A bolster will be quite strong. So if you fold up your blankets so that they form a platform. I'm going to come and sit up towards the left edge of my blanket, and then turn the knees towards the right. And then I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to come down to lie on my side first, and then roll onto my back. So it's a twist with a little back bend in it. And then if it's comfortable in your neck, you can just turn the head to gaze to the left. If it feels like too much, then if it's too much for your lower back and just feels a bit stuck or ouchy, then come off the platform, and instead of having the support under your hips, have the support underneath your outer right thigh instead, and that's a gentler variation. Okay. So twists can be very stimulating for the solar plexus area. This is sometimes called our emotional brain. There's a lot of nerve endings here at the solar plexus. soften the solar plexus area back. So that's the area in between the lower ribs. So bring it back, quieten it down. So the back of the body also starts to quieten down and to drop down towards the ground. Make the left arm heavy. And can the shoulders soften down a little bit more now? So the tops of the shoulders start to soften, the skin softens. Take several breaths to move deep into the tissues of the shoulders and the upper back with your awareness, bringing a softening to every single cell. And if you soften the muscles of your face, and then imagine that every single cell in your body is wearing the same expression as your face, it might help to soften a little bit more. If you want to have a blanket over you, that's always nice for aiding relaxation, keeping you warm and calming the nervous system. If we were together in a class, I would be going around putting blankets on people now. Relax the inner thighs. And really open up to the breath here. If you do find that you have the residual tension, that the frame of the body is still feeling rigid, then if you just imagine breathing into every cell of the body, you can bring back some of the flow, some of the responsiveness. If there's a particular niggling thought pattern that keeps returning to you this evening, then acknowledge it, turn towards it, bring it into your awareness, and give it some space. And if it feels like that's a charged thought, one that produces an emotion or a physical sensation, then just notice what the physical sensation is in the body. Where is it? What does it feel like? Take a full inhale. And as you exhale, just let the body fall towards the center of the earth. Go into free fall here. We'll do that once more. Falling on the exhale. And then bring the knees back to center. We'll shift the hips over to the right. So if you're up on a folded blanket or cushion or bolster, you're going to come to sit to the right edge of it, bend the knees, and then drop the knees down to the left. other side of the pose. If it's comfortable, then turning the head. So you're gazing softly over towards the right. And once you're there in the pose, then just really quietening down the solar plexus. Making the right arm heavy now. The right shoulder blade softens, the inner shoulder blade hollows out. Let the collarbones naturally broaden as the tissues of the chest start to relax. The inner body is very gently massaged by the breath. Soften the gaze. Make the body a little bit broader. And again, see if you can do that without force, but with a greater release, a greater softening and surrendering. So the body starts to spread out onto the ground. As any contraction in the body begins to melt away. Is there somewhere where you're still resisting? Can that resistance now be let go of? And thoughts will come. It's important to give the thoughts some room, but not to let them take up all the room. If there is an emotion attached to a thought, then just inquire where that might be in the body. What is that emotion? Its charge. What is that as a physical sensation? Where is it in the body? And when that is dissolved, then allow the awareness to just flow freely
until the next thought arises. So we'll just take a few more conscious breaths. Taking a moment to fully occupy the space that you are in. And to come up out of the pose, we'll bring the knees back to center and hug the knees into the chest for a moment. Maybe doing a little rock and roll there if it feels good. And we're going to move into our next pose, which we'll be in for a while. So if you roll over onto one side and come up, if you have the means to make a ramp, then ramp's a good option here. You could also be lying over a couple of pillows, or you could have a blanket wrapped around a yoga mat. So I'm going to use 2 extra bolsters, but you can use cushions, you can use rolled up blankets. They're going to go underneath my outer thighs. Sofa cushions would do really well for this. Or if you've got some pillows. Okay, so we're going to make a nest. And if you have a belt, then have your belt handy as well. And all the blankets you can possibly get hold of. I'm going to have this to go under my head. And I'm using a yoga block, but you could use anything you have handy. I'm going to come and sit in front of my bolster. And I'm going to be doing sukhasana in this pose. So that's cross legs rather than baddha konasana with the soles of the feet together. If you prefer to do baddha konasana, you're very welcome to. But I'm going to have my legs like this today. Okay. And I'll have the knees supported. And if you want to do the super deluxe version of this pose, then you're going to make a loop with the belt. And if you have an eye pillow, have your eye pillow handy too. I'm going to make a loop with the belt. And the loop's going to go around my knees. And if you've chosen to do baddha konasana with the soles of the feet together, then if you do the bind for that, which is different. It goes around the feet. Okay, so my belt's going around my knees. So it'll sit just at the base of the thigh, and it's not going to sort of inhibit the stretch, but I just want it at the right place so I can go into the stretch and also feel braced there, supported. And now I've got all my things. Have a blanket over you if you can as well. Come and lie down. So we've made a little nest. And you could have your eye pillow. You could have it over your forehead, or you could have it over your eyes. And if you have an extra block there, an extra pillow, it's quite nice to have something just resting on the chest. I'll try not to rest it on my mic. A lot of people quite like that, just to have a little weight on the chest.
like having a weighted blanket, I suppose. So be 100% comfortable. So the lower back needs to feel long and relaxed here. And if it's not, then perhaps you can sit a little bit higher so you can make the incline steeper with your ramp. It's quite nice also to have the hands supported by something. So I've got my hands resting on my bolsters. But if you have some extra books or something, you could put those under the backs of the hands. And settle into something like a symmetrical pose. Very lightly touch the thumb and the forefinger together, so you're making a Yoga Nidra, mudra of wisdom with your fingers, and have the palms facing up. And we're setting up for Yoga Nidra practice. So be comfortable enough so that you won't have to move for the next 20 minutes. Of course, you can move if you need to. But try to just be as comfortable as you can. So making any final adjustments, maybe have another last little wriggle before you move into stillness. I better not stay here because I'll probably fall asleep. So close your eyes if you're comfortable to close your eyes. And let your eyelids just go completely soft. So the eyelids are really lightly placed on top of your eyeballs. You could even pretend that there's a little space in between the eyelid and the eyeball. Let the eyes go completely soft so that they start to sink back deep into the skull, towards the back of the skull. Resting your awareness for a moment at the back of the skull, inside the head, the back of the brain. And now become aware of the top of your head, inside the head, so the top of the brain. And the space in between the top of the brain and the crown of the head. Just inhabiting this space for a moment, the space between the brain and the crown. And now take your awareness to the center of the head. The hollow of the throat. Now become aware of the center of the chest, the space just behind the breastbone, and just rest your awareness there. Become sensitive to the movement of the breath there in the middle of the chest.
becoming familiar with the inner landscape, all the shapes and the textures of the inner landscape, the shifting currents, all the rhythms, vibrations, pulses. Let's go on a journey around the body now. Just following the voice around, we'll move the awareness to the right hand thumb. And if you visualize this inner terrain as the night sky, on the tip of the right thumb, place a shining star. And another shining star on the tip of the forefinger, and then the middle finger, the ring finger, the pinky finger, the palm of the hand and the back of the hand, the wrist, the forearm, the elbow and the upper arm, the shoulder, the armpit, the right collarbone, the right ribs and the side waist, a little shining star on the right hip and buttock and thigh, and on the knee and the lower leg, the ankle, the heel, the sole of the foot, and the top of the foot, and a little shining star on the right big toe, and then the second toe, and the third toe, and the fourth toe, the fifth toe. And then move your awareness over to the left side and into the left hand thumb, placing a little shining star on the tip of the left thumb. And then on the second finger, and the third finger, the fourth finger, and the fifth finger, and a shining star on the palm of the hand, and then the back of the hand, and one onto the wrist and forearm, the elbow, the upper arm, the left shoulder, and armpit and collarbone, and ribs, waist, a little shining star on the left hip, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, the heel, sole of the foot and the top of the foot, the left big toe and the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe and the fifth toe. Observe now that night sky of the inner body, this galaxy of stars. Becoming aware of the back of the head, placing a little shining star on the back of the head, and then one at the base of the skull, and one on each of the vertebrae of the spine. Doesn't matter if you don't know exactly the vertebra of the spine. Just moving down the spine with your awareness, placing little shining stars as you go. The awareness very light,
like starlight, coming all the way down to the tailbone, placing a little shining star at the tailbone. And then bringing your awareness to the perineum at the base of the body. Shining star at the perineum, and one in the very center of the belly. One at the solar plexus, in between the lower ribs. And a little shining star at the breastbone, just behind the breastbone. A shining star at the throat. A shining star in between the eyebrows. And one at the crown of your head. And now observing once more that night sky of the inner body and all the twinkling stars of that inner galaxy. And becoming aware of the whole body once again. Become aware of the outer covering, the envelope of the skin. The space outside the skin. And the space inside the skin. Now tune into your breath. Letting your awareness feather the breast very lightly on that gentle inhale, that exhale. The movement and the sensation of the breath on the skin of the nostrils. And now imagine that the breath could flow in between the crown and the tailbone. So as you inhale, the breath flows from the crown all the way down the center of the body to the tailbone. And as you exhale, it washes all the way back again from the tailbone all the way up to the crown. Your awareness washing, flowing through these 2 points. As the breath washes through the body, imagine it washing away any remaining contraction, any repetitive thoughts, allow that all to be cleansed away on the currents of the breath. And now bring your attention to the point about 8 inches above your crown, beyond your crown. And now to a point about 8 inches beyond the tailbone. And now become aware of the space in between those two poles. What can you feel? And now take your attention deep into the heart center. Visualizing there at the heart center a garden. And in this garden, some very fertile soil. And in your hand you have some seeds to plant. And each of those seeds represents one of your intentions. Something that you would like to grow in your life. Something you'd like to bring about in the next 3 months to 5 years. So just digging a little hole and taking each of those seeds in your hand and planting them one by one. And as you plant the seeds in the soil, name them. What are those intentions? What is it you'd like to cultivate? For example, there could be a seed for peace. It could be a seed for contentment. It could be a seed for professional development. Whatever it is you want for yourself in your life. And on each of those seeds, please give a little blessing, your good will and your good intention. Infusing your gaze, your awareness with kindness. And when you have finished planting your seeds, then just take a rest there in your garden. Enjoy it. And become aware once more of the body as it rests on the earth. The sensation of your breath, the touch of air on your skin. When you're ready to, then just very gently begin to move the fingers and the toes with great kindness, and patience and care, making that transition out of Yoga Nidra and back into your evening, keeping that connection to yourself. And when you feel ready to, then just very gently roll over onto one side and take a little pause there. Come all the way up to seated. So we'll close this practice together with one very gentle Om and 3 Shantis. So let's take an inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.